He said, well, I would have picked the man in charge, being a surveyor and military. I said that was the first two things that came to my mind when I saw them. And they had, and I gave them a visualizing the size of the plans that I watched them, which they were holding up. And I was told that that is exactly the size of plans that plans are when they are, in fact, drawings of the building and the garage area. And the third gentleman was tall, very, very nice-looking man. Dark hair. His hair came right to his collar. He had very dark eyes, dark hair. He wore a black cowboy hat with a silver trim on the hat, and he had black jeans, black boots, black shirt. And I really got a good look at him. He turned away from me and went to the north wall and was having a cigarette. And he did not want me to watch him.
And, of course, we now know, I mean, you saw him on the news, Andreas Stossmeyer, yes, the son of a top SS general, yes, is an admitted Black Ops commander for German and U.S. intelligence and was at Elohim City being run by the Southern Poverty Law Center. Yes.
And that was who I identified later on. I also identified one of the men when I was finally shown some pictures, not by the FBI, not by the police, but through a private investigator who was giving me, and I identified Gary Hunt as one of the gentlemen that I saw in the building the day before and the morning of the bombing, with another man who was about 5'8", light brownish blonde hair, very poor, very, very bad complected. When they both came out of the stairwell, they looked directly at me, and then they bent their heads down and turned around the corner to go around the hallway past GSA, because that is an outside door there to the outside of the building on the the west end of the building. So I was very much aware of them, and then I was going to go upstairs, and I thought it was odd that they came down the stairwell, and as I said, they were going quite quickly, and I was talking to somebody else about the fact that I had seen some maintenance men, some outside maintenance men. And it wasn't just right after that, when I was waiting at the elevator, a gentleman came up to me and said he was talking to some others, and he said, I'm from the FBI, and someone told me that you have seen two maintenance men. And I said, no. I said, I didn't. And of course, at that time, I was thinking whether they were talking about the elevator, which we'd had a problem with, or the phone company. And it wasn't registering to me at all about associating them with the two GSA dressed maintenance men. And it was only later on, after I saw a video and saw the two of those men, I realized this is the men that they were referring to, who somebody obviously had told them. I assume it was the men that I passed, that I had seen them. So that, I think, and that in itself probably saved my life at that point, because Terry Yakey had seen so much, and he was killed. A lot of people were murdered because of what they saw or what they wrote or what they did. And
now, let me stop you there. Terrence Yakey was Cop of the Year that year. He went in, local Oklahoma City cop, saved a bunch of people, and the last person he talked to was his partner. He'd hidden evidence of it being an inside job in a storage locker outside town. He'd been told to get off the case by his superiors. And the last phone call to his partner said, "I'm being tailed by feds." And then he was found murdered and tortured.
That's right. That is correct. And I did go. I wrote a letter to Stephen Jones. I wrote a letter to the FBI. I wrote one to my doctor and another person, and I told them exactly what I saw. I gave them descriptions of the men. I gave them what they were wearing, everything I could about them and what had occurred. And I never did hear anything from anyone anyone regarding from the FBI or the police about looking at pictures of anyone, trying to identify anyone. And I did talk to one attorney, and he said, well, I know the sketch artists for the police. They're just really, really good. We'll get a sketch done. I said, fine. Never heard from him again after that. It just dropped. That was the end of that discussion. I went with Debbie Nakanashi to Washington several times on this case. I met with one of the men who was on the attorney's staff there, dealing with, I wanted information about, well, how does one deal with this as far as from the legal aspect of the government and for review and so forth. And he said, well, there were only I think 3 men that deal with a lot of these issues, and that really, there wasn't anything that they could do. And I tried to see the congressmen and senators from the state of Oklahoma. None of them would see me or talk to me. And the only person that would talk to me was James Traficant. And I did meet in his office. I met his assistant. And at that time, he had requested from GSA all of their files. And the FBI had come to him and told him that they wanted to go through all of the files that he had to white out various things that would be incriminating. And he told them they didn't have the authority to do that. And but he would give them one day, and they said, because he said they would not be able to do that. And his assistant told me that they had threatened James Traficant and said, we will get you for this. We're going to get you over there.
And it's now been declassified that the current attorney general, back at the time, was the deputy, and the memos have been released in his emails where he said, we've got to have a full court press. This is like D-Day. We've got to get down to Oklahoma City. This is on the 16th, and cover this up, or it's over for us. And we can even pull those emails up. I've read them on air. And so that clearly shows they were going into Congressman's office and saying, you shut your mouth. There's so much to talk to you about, Jane Graham. Expanding on this, what about your run-ins with Tim McVeigh in the weeks before the Alfred P. Murrah building was blown out from under you?
Yes, he was there. He was there a number of times going up. As I said, he went to the 6th floor. I think he even went to the 5th floor, and certainly the 9th floor. He had gone up there, and I really thought that he was with the military units there and going in to report, or up on the 9th floor, they had ATF and other operations up there. And I thought, well, whatever he's doing, he's new, and he's just, reporting in to whatever he needed to do. And the comment I made about his not talking was the fact that everybody in that building would always be very pleasant and always friendly and, hi, how are you? Regardless if you didn't know them, they spoke. And he absolutely would just look straight ahead, totally military. And also, one of the things most people do not know is that the bomb squad had parked across in the church parking lot that morning and had their dogs out. And one of the postal workers, a friend of mine that went with me to Washington several times, she had seen them out. She was told her job was threatened. She was told, do not discuss this with anybody. And she went to the union in regards to that issue and got that was taken care of relatively quickly. But it was important because when I went up to the 7th floor, I ran into Trish Nix, who was killed in the bombing, and she said, have you seen the bomb squad? And I said, no, I haven't. And she said, well, they've been in the building. So I knew right then that there was something going on. And, of course, like I said earlier, in 2 weeks before that, when I was in the coffee shop, I was sitting at a booth, and right next to me on the other booth was another lady talking to a friend of hers, telling her that she had called a friend who worked at the FBI office at 50 Penn Place, and that this friend had received a fax stating that there was going to be a bombing in the federal building, and I was and she gave it to her supervisor, and he said, "Don't worry about it. We know about it already." And I was concerned because at that time, daughter-in-law had been working at Bally's, which is in 50 Penn Place, and I said, "Oh my God, surely!" When I came home, I said, "Surely they're not someone is going to try and bomb 50 Penn Place." Of course, that's where FBI was, and I thought, all those people, are there?